White belts ask me all the time, how often should I train jiu-jitsu? Here are my thoughts on it. I think training specifically is what you're capable of doing, unless you're like a full-time competitor and you really can do 2 times a day, which is like, if you really want to compete, I think you should be training 2 times a day. I think the way I've always understood jiu-jitsu as far as training and getting progress in your jiu-jitsu is always like the analogy of like a sword. So like if you train once a week, you're basically just keeping the rust off of the sword, right? If you train twice a week, the rust is gone and it's not super sharp, but it's like you're keeping it sharp enough to, you know, cut with. Anything 3 to 4 times a week and up, you're actively sharpening your sword. Your sword is getting sharper and sharper every day. It's different for everybody, but I would definitely say if you really want your jiu-jitsu to progress, 4 times a week, minimum 3 times a week, and upwards, whatever your body can handle. I think injuries in many ways happen because a lack of awareness or over ego in many ways. Like a lot of the times that I've been hurt and injured is because I didn't want to secede a position. I didn't want to get swept. I didn't want to give my back. I didn't want to do this, and I would be overextended in many ways, and then a joint or a bone or something would be compromised. The more you compete, I think the more you care less about what happens in training. Like you get tapped, if you're in training, you should be getting tapped. You should be trying new things. You should be exposing yourself, because if you're not, if you want to be the guy that just beats everybody in the gym, that's fine. But I think when you go into a competition, you may have a rude awakening as far as some of the holes in your game. I'd say swallow your ego, swallow your pride, try new things, and then don't force the position. If something's not working or if something's not going your way, let it go. Use that as an opportunity to recover. Yeah, I feel like injuries in many ways is actually ego driven. Also like training partners. Like if you know someone's 420 pounds, 6'9" guy, and everyone's like, oh, he hurts everybody. It's okay to avoid that person, not roll with that person. Or if someone you roll with before and they've almost hurt you a bunch of times, probably try to avoid that person. Very luckily, I've been doing jiu-jitsu a very long time. So I have a bullpen of great training partners, people I trust, and I think that also is a huge way to avoid injuries. It really does depend on what your goals are and what stage you are in your life. If you're up and coming, you're a young guy, and you really are invested in wanting to be a full-time jiu-jitsu competitor as a career, then you should be training as much as possible. I would recommend twice a day, pretty much every single day, minus a day or 2 a week that you can rest. Focus on resting as well. If you're going to train twice a day, you shouldn't be training real hard in the morning, going surfing for 4 hours, and then training real hard at night. I don't think you're going to get the best results out of that. You should be prioritizing rest and recovery, because that's going to give you the ability to train more. It's just the sacrifice, it's just the territory that comes with wanting to train all the time. And it's directly proportional, the results you get in jiu-jitsu, to how much you train. When I was a kid, I would train 2 days a week, and there was someone slightly older than me who was just out of high school, and they would train 4 or 5 times a week. And I saw this person go from a white belt to a blue belt, and a really good blue belt in just about under a year. It was because he put in 3 times, 4 times as much training as everybody else. So it's really what you put in, it's how much you invest. If you're older, you're not real interested in being a full-time competitor, it's really what you want to get out of jiu-jitsu as far as your progress. 1 time a week is great. 1 time a week is better than no times a week, right? But 2 times is better than 1. 3 is better than 2. So the more you can get into the gym and train, the faster you're going to see your skills progress. I see a lot of people talk about, oh, it's like a 10-year journey for a black belt. You're like, yes, but I think that's a general metric for people who are used to the paradigm of training once or twice a week. I think if you take 2 people and you have one guy train 5 times a week and you have one guy train 2 times a week, the person who trains 5 times is going to become a black belt, or at the black belt level, what I would consider twice as fast. It really depends on what your goals are and what you want to do with jiu-jitsu. If your goals are to be better at jiu-jitsu and have more success competing, then you're going to have to start to sacrifice other aspects of your life that you're not spending time training. If jiu-jitsu is really that important to you, you'll make the time and you'll make the sacrifice to train more. If not, then you don't really want it that bad. So.